Hello, welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. All right, guys, I'm back with more updates out of the Middle East, and I want to give you more information regarding this ceasefire between Israel and Iran that has been agreed to by both parties. And back towards the beginning of this ceasefire earlier this morning in Israel, we had Iran supposedly firing a ballistic missile at Israel after the ceasefire had gone into effect. Soon after that, Israel said they were going to retaliate and they launched a strike inside of Iran. I think it was just north of Tehran near the Caspian Sea, and they took out some sort of radar station. And around this same time, we had U.S. President Donald Trump that you see right here in the video. He was at the White House speaking just before heading off on his plane over to The Hague at the NATO summit. And he was very unhappy with this exchange of attacks from both sides. And he's claiming that Israel and Iran have both violated this agreement. So I'm going to show you guys from beginning to end what happened here and what Trump's talking about. I'll even show you guys this video as well. So take a look at your screen here. Trump blasts Israel and Iran for violating the ceasefire. Iran fires missile. Trump says the ceasefire between Israel and Iran has taken effect, lashing out earlier Tuesday over alleged violations of the truce he helped broker and excoriating Israel for its plan to resume strikes. Yeah, apparently he was very upset with Israel because Israel retaliated and started carrying out airstrikes inside of Iran again. And as far as I know, they only struck one location. It was some sort of radar station again in the northern side of the country near the Caspian Sea. So we're going to talk more about this. As far as I know right now, the ceasefire is holding. We haven't seen any other incidents other than what happened earlier this morning, but we'll cover everything here for you. Let's go ahead and hop on over here to X with Appleseed. President Trump says Israel and Iran don't know what the F they're doing. Israel violated the ceasefire. As soon as I made the deal, they grabbed the biggest load of bombs you've ever seen. I'm not happy with them. I'm really unhappy. That's Israel. And he continued on with his statement, obviously. But I want to show you guys this clip. It's about a minute long. Him speaking at the White House. He was just about to leave for the Hague NATO summit. And going to be meeting with Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, soon as well. And I just want you to see what he has to say here. And I will let you know ahead of time, he is going to use profanity, which is probably the first time I've ever seen him really speak this way. You can tell he's very upset with what happened this morning in the Middle East. So go ahead and take a look at this real quick.
Israel says that Iran violated the peace agreement and the ceasefire agreement. Do you believe that Iran is still committed to peace?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Do you have a response to Iran on this?
All right, so you can see Trump was very upset here in this video as he was speaking to the reporters. And he used profanity there in the very end, saying that Israel and Iran don't know what the F they're doing because we had a ceasefire in effect and all of a sudden they were starting to attack each other again. So clearly Trump was not very happy with what happened there this morning. Now we'll move on to next. Iran-Israel ceasefire confirmed after 6-missile wave. Ceasefire between Iran and Israel comes into effect after 6th wave of Iranian missile strikes on Israeli territory. Iranian officials and President Trump have confirmed the truce. So far, Israel has not issued any official comment regarding the ceasefire. Ceasefire declared, but is war really over? This is what Trump posted on True Social here early this morning. The ceasefire is now in effect. Please do not violate it. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. Okay, so once I left you guys last night, after all the updates I was putting out, one of the last things I mentioned was that Israel was under attack by missiles numerous times. Apparently there was up to 6 waves according to this information here. I think we were at like the 4th wave or so, 5th wave, before I took off last night to go to sleep. And that's basically what happened after, was we still had missiles incoming. The ceasefire apparently, according to Trump, finally went into effect. That's when we had a missile still entering over to Israel coming from Iran, supposedly. And then here's kind of like a timeline of the way things played out. This is from Mario Nafal. Israel bombed Tehran before breakfast, then put the missiles on ice after Trump call. Israel pre-gamed the ceasefire with a 3 a.m. strike on Tehran, flattening regime targets and reportedly wiping out hundreds of Basij and security forces. Iran didn't sit quietly. Just before the 7 a.m. truce, it fired off a missile barrage. One hit killed 4 civilians in Beersheba. This is what I covered last night for you guys. Then at 7:06 a.m., literally 6 minutes into the ceasefire, Iran launched another missile. 2 more followed later. All were intercepted or landed in empty fields. Okay, so it looks like maybe up to 3 missiles were being fired that violated the ceasefire. Israel responded with a surgical strike on a radar site near Tehran. Then reportedly, Trump called Bibi, which is Benjamin Netanyahu. He praised Israel for achieving all its war objectives and said the ceasefire will hold or else. Okay, and the source was PMO. So yeah, that's allegedly how things played out here. And yeah, Iran had fired supposedly up to 3 missiles after the ceasefire went into effect, and then Israel went ahead and bombed a radar site in Tehran soon after. Here's the video from Mosin Defender. At least 1 ballistic missile was launched by Iran against Israel earlier in violation of the ceasefire, which went into effect at 12 a.m. Eastern Time, with it believed to have been intercepted over northern Israel. Here's that video coming out, allegedly showing an Iranian ballistic missile. Looks like 1 single missile that was intercepted over Israeli airspace, and Iran had supposedly violated the ceasefire truce with this missile. Now for next, Israel accuses Iran of breaching Trump-brokered ceasefire, vows forceful response. Israeli officials have accused Tehran of violating the U.S.-brokered ceasefire announced by President Trump following the launch of at least 1 missile toward Israeli territory after the truce took effect. Defense Minister Israel Katz stated in response to Iran's violation of the ceasefire, "I've instructed the IDF to carry out powerful strikes against regime targets in the heart of Tehran." So I bet a lot of people were worried, oh no, here we go, ceasefire is going to collapse and they're going to start attacking each other again. But thankfully that has not been the case. They just carried out 1 strike from what we know. Now from Ari Nafal, Iran denies missile launch despite Israeli interception. Iranian state TV says no missiles were fired at Israel after the ceasefire began, but the IDF says otherwise, confirming a ballistic missile from Iran was intercepted over northern Israel. Okay, so Iran stating, no, we did not fire it, and the IDF out of Israel, their military says, yes, we confirmed this because we actually shot a missile down over our territory on the northern side of the country. Now from Israel Defense Forces directly on X, in light of the severe violation of the ceasefire carried out by the Iranian regime, we will respond with force. The Chief of General Staff, Lieutenant General A.L. Zamir, in a situational assessment now. Okay, so this is what the Chief of General Staff of the IDF stated, that they were going to respond with force after this missile attacked their territory. Then soon after, this is when they carried out the strike. Okay, it says here from Mosin Defender, earlier today, Israel defied pleas by U.S. President Trump to not respond to this morning's violation of the ceasefire by Iran, with the Israeli Air Force targeting a radar site near Babel Sar, if I'm saying that correctly, northern Iran on the coast of the Caspian Sea. So this is allegedly the strike they carried out over here, not too far away from the Caspian Sea. That might be the Caspian Sea just over there in the distance behind these houses, if you guys can kind of see that. But this is that smoke cloud after the Israeli strike was carried out. We got a video here as well, and not really a whole lot of sound here, if anything, but we can see just over the top of this building, there was an airstrike that was carried out and supposedly was targeting a radar station, okay? Now, Mosin Defender, U.S. President Trump's post this morning on Truth Social, right before Israel bombed a radar site to the north of the Iranian capital of Tehran, as retaliation for a ballistic missile that was launched earlier today by Iran against northern Israel. Now, here's a couple statements that Trump was putting out around that same time, and here's one of them. It says, Israel's not going to attack Iran. All planes will turn around and head home while doing a friendly plane wave to Iran. Nobody will be hurt. The ceasefire is in effect. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. That was kind of funny how he said that these warplanes that are coming from Israel will do a friendly plane wave. So kind of say hi to Iran and then turn around and come back. I thought it was kind of funny. Trump has an interesting way of describing things sometimes. And then he also said here, Israel, do not drop those bombs. If you do it, it is a major violation. bring your pilots home now, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. Okay, and clearly they did not listen to any of the warnings coming from Trump here, and that's why Trump was so upset as well, because we could have had a ceasefire completely collapse because Israel decided to retaliate because they're claiming that the Iranians launched a missile at them. Now, Max 25, and he says, lol, what? Senior Israeli official told Axios that Trump urged Netanyahu to cancel Iranian strike. Netanyahu told Trump that he could not cancel the strike. Some response is needed. Final decision was hit only one target, scrapping wider attack plans. So apparently the Israelis were going to carry out massive strikes. I mean, that's what we were hearing from Israel Katz and the IDF, that they were going to respond with force. So they were probably going to launch a major widespread bombing campaign onto Iran again. But because Trump called Netanyahu and urged him to cancel, he was like, okay, well, we're not going to cancel it, but we can respond in some sort of way. So that's why they went ahead and at least launched one strike onto that radar station in response to that ballistic missile attacking them today. Okay, so now from Mario Nafal, U.S. presses Israel to stick to ceasefire. Defense Secretary Hegseth called Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz, echoing Trump's message to Netanyahu. The U.S. expects Israel to honor the ceasefire. Katz responded that Israel would fully comply unless Iran violates it first. If the Iranians attack again, we'll be required to respond. Okay, and that source was Axios today. So yeah, we had Defense Secretary out of the U.S., Pete Hegseth, calling on Israel and speaking to Israel Katz, which is the defense minister out of Israel, which is this gentleman right here, and telling them that you guys better agree to the ceasefire, stick to it, do not violate it. And they're stating, okay, we will. But if we are attacked in any way from Iran, we will respond. And that's kind of how Israel is. Anytime they're attacked, they respond pretty much immediately, just like what we saw happening today. Now, World Source News 24/7, breaking Iran International reports. An advisor to Iran's president, Ali Rabieh, says Iran had accepted the ceasefire sincerely, but can smell a plot. Okay, I thought that was interesting. Also, apparently an advisor to Iran's president, that would be Masoud Pezeshkian. Apparently, Ali Rabieh is stating that Iran, they agreed to the ceasefire, but they smell something fishy about this situation. They smell a plot, that maybe there's some sort of, grand design to this whole thing, that maybe there's a goal at the end, and maybe it's regime change inside of Iran. Who really knows? But they're very skeptical about this ceasefire right now, is basically what we're hearing. Now, Vice Grad 24, breaking, Israel has killed the commander of the intelligence unit of the RGC's voluntary paramilitary force, Basij. We did have these reports earlier that I showed you guys that Israel was carrying out strikes onto this paramilitary force called Basij. And it says here, Mohammed Taghi Youssef Vand, if I'm saying that correctly, was killed in an airstrike in Tehran a couple of hours before the ceasefire. Basij are used to quell rebellions and riots. Okay, so yeah, they were going after a lot of these forces of the Basij unit, or paramilitary force of RGC. And yeah, allegedly they took out one of the commanders of the intelligence unit of this group. Okay, so that was actually one of the last strikes where they actually took out a top commander related to the RGC, or any top officials of the Iranian regime as well. These were one of the last strikes that were taken out a top official in Tehran within the last few hours before the ceasefire. Now, Mario Nafal, Iran to throw victory party in Tehran. Iranian state TV says a victory celebration will kick off at 6 p.m. in Enqilab Revolution Square, complete with flags, speeches, and hopefully a celebration of a ceasefire that holds. Despite losing major nuclear sites and a top brass to Israeli and U.S. strikes, Iran's aiming to project strength. Okay, so they're going to be holding some sort of victory celebration parade in Tehran. It looks like it'll be happening today at 6 p.m. I haven't seen any news on that just yet, but yeah, apparently they're going to be doing that, and they're going to be trying to make it appear as if they won the war against Israel, although we know they took on massive losses, and so did Israel as well. Now, from Israel Defense Forces, we've set Iran's nuclear project back by years, and the same applies to its missile program. Chief of the General Staff, Lieutenant General Ayel Zamir, during a situational assessment following the beginning of a ceasefire with Iran. Okay, so this is what the Chief of General Staff of the IDF stated. Ayel Zamir, he said that they set back Iran's nuclear project by years, and same applies to their missile program. We know they knocked out a lot of their ballistic missile launchers, and then imagine all the missiles that they used already. I'm sure it did set them back pretty far. And then also considering that a lot of bases were being struck, underground missile production sites, we had missile storage sites being hit all over Iran. I mean, Israel carried out a lot of airstrikes and caused massive damage all over Iran. And we were reporting that all the way through this duration of that war. Now for Megatron Ron, new Israeli chief of staff says the Israeli campaign against Iran has not ended, but has entered a new phase. Okay, so that's not a good sign. That means that potentially could this war continue in the future? I mean, Trump was coming out saying in the last 24 hours that he believed that this ceasefire would hold and that Israel and Iran would never attack each other again. But we know that that Iran is already coming out saying they will continue enriching uranium. There's reports that there was a uranium that was that had already previously been enriched and had been removed from the Fordo facility before the U.S. even struck it. So they potentially could have already enriched uranium at least up to 60%. They stated already they're going to continue doing so. They will not stop trying to achieve a nuclear bomb, basically, is what we're hearing. They're going to keep trying to enrich it. So maybe that's what they're talking about here, but they're stating that it has entered a new phase, excuse me. Now from Max 25, Iran's Joint Military Command says Israel and U.S. must learn lessons from devastating strikes on Israel and U.S. base in Qatar, according to Reuters, okay? And this is directly out of the military command of the IRGC in Iran. They're stating that the U.S. must learn lessons from devastating strikes, okay, on Israel and U.S. base in Qatar. So they're talking about could they potentially carry out more attacks again? I mean, is this war not over with? We're going to have to see what happens here. But again, still threatening the United States and Israel for all these attacks that were carried out onto their nation. Maybe they don't feel like they did enough to strike back against the U.S. and also Israel. So maybe could we see this war opening back up in the future? We're going to have to wait and see what happens. Now, finally, our last update from Channel 12 News out of Israel. An Israeli security official to the Saudi Al Hadath channel reported, "We know where Iran transferred the enriched uranium. Most of it is buried under rubble. Israel did not attack the enriched uranium because it could have caused an environmental nuclear disaster." Okay, so yeah, this was literally just being reported today. And yeah, apparently there's still some enriched uranium that the Iranians still have, and they hid it somewhere. They're stating here that it could have been buried under rubble, and Israel didn't want to blow it up because they were afraid of a nuclear disaster if they were to do so. So, you know, apparently Iran still has this this nuclear material, this enriched uranium that they could possibly use to try to pursue a nuclear bomb in the future. And again, the Iranians already stated that they're going to continue doing that, trying to pursue that path to enriching uranium. So, you know, if anything, maybe we might see a pause in fighting over here for a while, but I wouldn't be surprised in the next few years we ramp right back up to this again, and Iran might be set back for right now, but who knows, this could happen all over again in the near future. But just wanted to share some updates with you guys coming out from the Middle East, and I'm curious to know what you're all thinking about this. Thank you so much for tuning in for this update. Let me know what you think about all these details down below in the comment section. That's going to be it for today's update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.